What is up, guys, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode for round 5, the Spanish Grand Prix of this second season. As always, if you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But getting into today's Spanish Grand Prix, it's been a bit of a while since the Russian Grand Prix, which was last week. So far, this first season has been a pretty decent one. You know, we've got a podium in the Australian Grand Prix. No points scored at China, but of course, we've had two pretty decent point-scoring finishes in both Bahrain and the Russian Grand Prix as well. But jumping straight into the R&D development, going through these practice sessions and getting as many resource points as we possibly can, because at the moment the Renault car is not really where I'd like it to be. I would like it to be a lot further up the ranks, competing with the likes of the Williams and the Force Indians a lot more regularly, and of course beating them in terms of performance as well, and then really set our sights on maybe trying to catch up to the Red Bulls, the Ferraris and the Mercedes as well. But for now, we're just going to get these resource points and try and do the best of our abilities, and just about getting in the purple score there for the fuel usage, lifting off so much as we came across the line just to try and get that, and luckily we did manage to do it at the end of the day, and ending the first practice session in 17th position. Not the best of results, but the first 3 practice sessions, the lap times don't really mean anything. It's all about getting used to the track and getting some knowledge behind ourselves. Here we are now doing the qualifying run. We managed to get a green score on that one. Not quite a purple score, but hopefully we can pick it up as the weekend goes on. We are as well taking a gearbox penalty. We're deciding to take a new gearbox for this weekend because I want to have no penalties going into the Monaco Grand Prix. So I've decided to take a gearbox penalty here today, which will bump us down 5 positions, but it means that we will be fresh for the Monaco Grand Prix. And as Circular Spain, overtaking isn't too difficult. We've got a good opportunity of getting overtakes done down that start-finish straight, of course. But ending practice 3 there with the qualifying run and the race strategy one as well. And we end that session ahead of our teammate and in 9th position. So really, really good session there from ourselves. So hopefully we can turn that into a good performance in the qualifying. But without any further ado, let's head over to that now.
Here we are at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia for the start of today's qualifying session. It won't be long now until we're ready to join the action down at trackside.
Here we are then heading into qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix, and knowing that we are taking that 5-place grid penalty, we would seriously like to get into Q3 for today's session, because of course that will just minimise the amount of damage that 5-place grid penalty will do to us. But the first lap isn't too bad, a 121.2 there behind Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. We're sort of in the mix of it at the moment, but our second lap here in Q1, it is an improvement as we come around the final corner. 3 tenths, nearly 4 tenths better than our previous best lap time. Coming across the line, there is an improvement in the standings as well. Puts us behind the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas. And at the moment, we are currently in P5 in the standings. And that ended the first qualifying session up there in P8, which is really decent. And sort of battling with the Williams and the Force Indians and my teammate as well. It is very close amongst Felipe Massa and Nico Hulkenberg. So those 4 positions there. But we do get into Q2, and now going to try and see whether we can get into the top 10 shootout or not. Round the final corner once again as we come down towards the start finish line for this hot lap in the Spanish Grand Prix, and we go into 120.317. That is an amazing lap here at the Spanish Grand Prix. That is maybe even contention with the 2 Red Bull guys. At the moment, we're in P7, but we would like to make an improvement on this lap just in case anybody sets a flying lap behind us. At the moment, we're only a little bit quicker there, but unfortunately losing the back end massively as we come through the final corner. Means that we failed to set a faster lap time, but it was good enough to get us into Q3, into the top 10 shootout with that P7 at the end of the day, and beating my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg, who gets knocked out down in P13 in this Q2 session. Right, the top 10 battle. Of course, remember, we are taking a 5-place grid penalty, but if we can get amongst the 2 Red Bull drivers, then this will be a really, really good session indeed. First up then, here in Q3, and it is in fact a 120.478, so it's a decent lap, but I don't think that's quite going to be good enough to beat the Red Bulls, and no, it is not at the moment. It's only good enough for the best of the rest in P7, but this lap is an improvement as we come in towards the final sector now of this Spanish Grand Prix for our second lap in this qualifying session. It's not quite a final one. I think we're going to have enough time to go for one more flying lap in this qualifying session, but around the final corner, 1/10 quicker than our previous best lap time. It is an improvement, but not an improvement in the standings. We still hold on to that 7th position, so we're going to have to find a little bit more time if we want to try and split the two Red Bulls, or even better, both of them as well in this session, as we jump towards the final sector once again. This time around, we're about a 10th up on our previous best lap time. In towards the left. Over the curb, then the right, taking quite a lot of curb there, running a little bit too wide on the exit, but still we're about 4 tenths up on our previous best lap time, coming down towards line. Whereabouts will this put us in the qualifying session? Is it enough to beat the Red Bulls? Yes, it is. We beat Daniel Ricciardo in the qualifying session, bettering the Red Bull driver there, and that is an absolutely fantastic result. To split both the Red Bull drivers and only be about half a tenth of a second away from Max Verstappen as well is absolutely incredible. Of course, it's going to take a lot longer for us to beat the Ferraris and the Mercedes. Look how quick those guys were at the end of the day, getting into the 118s. Amazing lap there from Sebastian Vettel. But P6 at the end of the day, we of course are very, very happy with that. Right then, let's run you through the starting grid order for the Spanish Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel lines up in pole position with Lewis Hamilton second. Kimi Raikkonen qualifies in third with Valtteri Bottas fourth. Max Verstappen finishes that session in 5th, myself in 6th, but remember we are taking a 5-place grid penalty, which should put us into 11th place, providing that there are no other penalties amongst the rest of the field. Daniel Ricciardo qualifies in 7th with Felipe Massa 8th, then Sergio Perez 9th, and Esteban Ocon rounds out the top 10. So that is it for the qualifying session. Let's see what we can do in the Spanish Grand Prix as we head over to the race.
So as we look ahead to what I hope will be a very entertaining race, I have to ask Anthony Davidson what you expect to see in terms of strategy today. I mean, do you expect a lot of tyre management? A lot of fuel management?
Well, don't we always? I don't expect these are going to be any more important than usual, if I'm honest. What I do expect, however, are a lot of drivers getting into the pits early for some kind of undercut on fresh rubber. If you can pit before the person in front, have a good stop and drive a blistering outlap, there may be 1 or 2 seconds to be gained. If anyone gets stuck behind another car, for example, that will be the go-to strategy, surely.
Before we get into today's race, however, let's run you through the starting order for the Spanish Grand Prix. And lining up in pole position is Sebastian Vettel after an amazing lap there, putting him at the front of the grid with Lewis Hamilton lining up alongside him in second. Then on the second row of the grid, we have the Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas, who lines up in 4th place. Max Verstappen is in 5th with Daniel Ricciardo 6th. Then it's Felipe Massa in 7th with Sergio Perez 8th. Esteban Ocon 9th on the grid with Dani Kvyat in 10th. Myself in 11th after a 5-place grid penalty puts me down there. Roman Grosjean is in P12. Nico Hülkenberg 13th. Carlos Sainz 14th. Then it's Lance Stroll 15th. Kevin Magnussen 16th, Fernando Alonso in 17th with Stoffel Van Dorn alongside him in 18th, and on the back of the grid as always is Pascal Wehrlein in 19th and Marcus Ericsson in 20th. So that is your starting order for the Spanish Grand Prix. Of course, we have taken a 5-place grid penalty to put ourselves down in 11th place. A really good qualifying session to put ourselves into P6, but P11 at the end of the day, it's just going to be a case of what can we do in the race and how can we work our way through the field. At the moment, the strategy for today, though, is starting on the soft tyres, pitting for a set of mediums, then a set of softs. But the team think that I could possibly go for 2 sets of softs, then a set of mediums. So I'm going to switch that around. I'm going to go for a set of softs, a set of mediums, then another set of softs right at the end of the Grand Prix, if my tyres can last that long. But here we go. As the lights come on for the Spanish Grand Prix, we go to 5 red lights. It is lights out, and away we go. So it's not the best of starts there compared to Dani Kvyat or Roman Grosjean on the right-hand side. Sort of getting bogged down a little bit, but as we go in towards turn 1, we have a clear picture ahead of us. We can just go around the outside of all these drivers, easy around the outside of Roman Grosjean, and now maybe trying to have a look on Dani Kvyat. Roman Grosjean comes back at us through turn 2. We've even got Nico Hülkenberg, my teammate, and Carlos Sainz having a little go at us through turn 3, but now we get a better of Roman Grosjean. Much better drive through that corner. Now going down in towards turn 4, diving at the inside of him and also the Toro Rosso of Dani Kvyat as well. Moving ourselves into the points once more, but losing the back end massively on the exit of turn 4, but just about managing to catch it to save ourselves from ending our race as early as lap 1. Now we are right on the tail of Esteban Ocon. What can we do on the Force India drive? We would like to get past this guy as soon as we possibly can. Of course, we are battling with the Force Indias, the Williams, in the Constructors' Championship. So we need to get the better of these guys as soon as we possibly can. But it is a long old race that we have ahead of us. 33 laps in this Spanish Grand Prix as we have a look at a replay and the leaders of the starts of this Spanish Grand Prix. So, watching the 2 Ferraris on the right, the 2 Mercedes on the left, it looks like the Ferraris get a much better start than both of the Mercedes drivers. Even one of the Red Bulls trying to get involved there as well, as I believe that is Sebastian Vettel leading from the start with Kimi Raikkonen in second. Then we have the 2 Mercedes going side by side inside in towards turn 2 and turn 3. But I believe that Lewis Hamilton, yes he does, he gets the better of his teammate there and moves up into P3 and onto the podium. Now watching a replay of my start. Not the best of starts there, losing out to Romain Grosjean and Danny Kvyat initially, but then we did have a clear picture coming down in towards turn 1. We could have been maybe a little bit braver on the brakes, but that little move from Romain Grosjean to the left sort of put me off, and I decided against it. Then unfortunately just getting caught on the curb through turn 2, but a great run through turn 3, not really lifting off the throttle like Romain Grosjean did, and that gave us a greater run down towards turn 4, and then we just dived at the inside of both those drives and just sort of settled behind Esteban Ocon. But then we lost the back end here, you know, just a little bit too much power on the exit of turn 4, kicked the back end out, but luckily we were able to catch it, and that stopped anything serious from happening at the start of today's race. Now we're right on the back of the Force India of Esteban Ocon. So what can we do against the Force India driver? He's in P9, we are in P10. Of course, at the moment we are in the points, but we would like to better that. We would like to get as many points as we possibly can, especially try and beat both the Force Indias and the Williams here today. As we have a little look on Esteban Ocon, dived at the inside here on the Force India driver. Sergio Perez has a look on Felipe Massa as well. We get the job done. A great move up the inside there on Esteban Ocon. He sort of gives us that position and decides against batting us. It looks like Sergio Perez has lost out massively there to Felipe Massa. Now, that's put him sort of, you know, under pressure from ourselves in today's race. 1/10 of a second is the gap between us two drivers. So can we get past Sergio Perez in the same lap that we got past his teammate here today at the Spanish Grand Prix? It's only lap 4, but we are already up into 8th position in today's race. So here we are on the back of Sergio Perez, running through the little chicane and now coming down in towards the back straight. Can we do anything to get past Sergio Perez here today? I don't think we're going to be close enough, and no, we are not. So now we have to cut ahead to the end of lap 5. Can we get past Sergio Perez this time around? Coming in towards the final corner. Now we've got Felipe Massa just a little bit ahead of Sergio Perez, and that is unfortunately giving Sergio Perez the DRS and the slipstream down the start finish straight. But it looks like we might be close enough to maybe go for a dive up the inside of Sergio Perez, which we do very late on the brakes, up the inside on the Force India driver, but unfortunately just not able to make it stick. Then we go for a sort of switchback maneuver like we did on Romain Grosjean on lap 1, but not able to pull it off, and for now we're going to have to settle for P9 in this Spanish Grand Prix. Just settling behind the Force India driver, not able to get the job done at the moment. Now cutting ahead to lap 6 in this Spanish Grand Prix, and Felipe Massa deciding to go for an early pit stop in today's race. We're going to see whether we can go a little bit longer in today's race. There's a few more drivers coming into pits as well, including Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas as well. Both those guys going onto the medium tyres, and now that pushes us up into P5 for the Spanish Grand Prix. And through the final corner once again here on lap 7, we have more drivers coming into the pits. The other leaders of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo. All those guys coming into the pits at the moment, and that pushes us up into P2, and Sergio Perez currently leading today's race. Unfortunately, we're not able at the moment to catch up to Sergio Perez. We're coming through the final corner once again, this time on lap 8, start to lap 9. Sergio Perez decides he is going to come into the pits and serve his pit stop on lap 8. So that means we are now leading this Spanish Grand Prix. We have a Renault in the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix here, so would not expect myself to say that, as there's a yellow flag out on track. It is Felipe Massa who is out of today's race. Disaster for the Williams guy. We were actually battling with him before he made his pit stop, so it's really, really good news for us at the moment. So we are currently leading this Spanish Grand Prix, and like I said, I did not expect myself to be leading a Spanish Grand Prix after the disaster that I had on the F1 2016 career mode, but it seems like I'm a little bit better at the Spanish Grand Prix on the 2017 game, which is really, really good news for myself. So we come through the final couple of corners now here on lap 9, and I think we're going to be serving our pit stop here at the Spanish Grand Prix, which we do coming into the pits on lap 9, and we're going to take ourselves onto, I think it's going to be the medium tyres all the way until near enough the end of the race, where we will then go onto a set of soft tyres as well. It looks like there is a Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz also coming into the pits as well. But what sort of pit stop time is it going to be from the Renault crew? Of course, we need to have a quick one here from the guys. The tyres are on, and it's a 2.2 second stop there from the Renault crew. Really, really quick pit stop from those guys. But whereabouts am I going to come out in a pit stop phase? There are the two Red Bull drivers, and unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to come out just behind the Force India driver of Sergio Perez. So unfortunately, I was battling with him at the before the pit stop phase, and unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be battling with him still. Down in P14 at the moment, but there are still a few drivers yet to serve their pit stop. We have guys on different strategy going onto the hard tyres or the medium tyres at the start of the race, and of course, once those guys come into the pits, we should be back in a normal position, including Marcus Ericsson in that Sauber, who now actually decides to come into the pits. And we're going to move up into P13 for the time being, including some other drivers as well who are also coming into pits, which I think my teammate Nico Hulkenberg, yes, he's into the pits as well. And there we go, moving back up into the points in P9 at the moment. So sort of about whereabouts we were before actually coming into the pit stop phase, cutting the inside of that corner massively there. It's not exactly the best of lines for myself, but diving down into the hairpin, we have Sergio Perez going on the attack of Pascal Wehrlein. We sort of thought about maybe having a look up the inside there, following Sergio Perez through, but at the end of the day, there just wasn't enough room, and we didn't really want to risk it at the end of the day, getting past a back marker, which we should be able to get past down the start-finish straight anyway. He is unfortunately going to hold me up all the way through this section. That does allow Sergio Perez to get a little bit of a gap to us, but now we are right on the back of Pascal Wehrlein, using the DRS to full advantage down the start finish straight, moving over to the right hand side. It's going to be a fairly simple move all the way down in towards turn 1, and there we go, job done on Pascal Wehrlein, moving back over to the racing line for the braking zone. And there we are, moving up into 8th position for the Spanish Grand Prix, and seeing now whether we can catch up to Sergio Perez and move up into that 7th place. We're now cutting ahead to lap 14. So we've got to drive it into the pits. It's Max Verstappen, who has gone for 2 sets of soft tyres at the start of the race. He's now dropped down into P8 at the moment, dropping even further down the field, but that moves up into P7. It looks like Sergio Perez now coming into pits as well, so that's going to move us up into P6. So exactly where we qualified in this race, of course. Remember, we qualified up in P6, but unfortunately that 5-place grid penalty put us further down the field. So at the moment, running in P6 is an absolutely fantastic result for this Spanish Grand Prix. Now we have Daniel Ricciardo coming into the pits as well. He started on the soft tyres, went for a set of hard tyres, and actually no, he's gone on to a set of hard tyres for the remainder of the race. So I think he had a middle stint on the medium tyres, and now he's deciding to go for the hards for the end of the race. And now actually coming under pressure from the Red Bull drive. We had a bit of a quiet race for the midsection, but now we're coming under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo, who moves over to the left-hand side. He's got the outside line down towards someone, but we're a lot better under braking, and there's a little bit of contact between the two of us. Not exactly the cleanest of moves up the inside, but very late on the brakes, locking up the front right tyre, but managing to make the move stick and hold on to that position ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. And here we are under pressure once more from the Red Bull drive on lap 22 as we come down in towards the hairpin after the second DRS zone. Daniel Ricciardo up the inside, having to give him room as we go around the outside in towards this left, and then long right-hander. Can we hold it with Daniel Ricciardo? Unfortunately not, just losing the back end, and then Ricciardo sort of squeezes on the brakes a little bit to show us that he is in front, and there is no way that we are going to get past him now. But we could possibly be able to use slipstream and DRS to our advantage if we are close enough down the start-finish straight. So here we are on the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Can we get anything on the Red Bull driver down in towards turn 1 using slipstream and DRS? We are gaining on Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian, but unfortunately it's just not by enough, and we have to give up on P5. But at the moment our target is set on whether we can hold on to P6 or not. If we can do that, then that'll be an absolutely fantastic result for today's race. Right, let's have a look at a replay of exactly how Daniel Ricciardo got past us to move up into P5. He went up the inside, down in towards the hairpin, then it was side by side between the two of us, very close in towards this left little kink, but unfortunately he just had the outside line, had a greater drive on those fresher hard tyres, and just that little bit extra grip helped him to go round the outside and get the job done. So well done there to Daniel Ricciardo to move up into P5, and that was an absolutely fantastic overtake there from the Red Bull driver. Now we're cutting ahead to lap 25 of this Spanish Grand Prix, and I believe it is pit stop time for ourselves, and yes, it is now coming into the pits for the second time in this Spanish Grand Prix. Now going on to a set of soft tyres, most likely till the end of the race, unless we go for another set of mediums, but I think it's going to be a set of soft tyres all the way till the end of the race. We managed to last 9 laps on the soft tyres at the start of the race, so I don't see why we can't last another 9 laps on a set of soft tyres, which we are going for. Set of softs at the end of this Spanish Grand Prix. 2.3 seconds was the pit stop there from the Renault crew. We're going to come out in exactly where we pitted. That's how far ahead we are of the other guys. We've got the Haas driver of, I believe it is Roman Grosjean, a little bit behind us, but A fantastic pit stop there from the Renault crew. Puts us ahead of Romain Grosjean and Carlos Sainz. And there we go, holding on to P6 for the time being. So this would be an absolutely fantastic result if we can hold on to it. But we do know that Max Verstappen is behind us currently on track. So he's going to be very quick, just like his teammate Daniel Ricciardo was. So we do have to be aware of the Red Bull man if he does manage to make his way through the fields. We're cutting ahead now to lap 29. Watching this battle for the lead of today's race. Kimi Räikkönen currently in second place with Sebastian Vettel leading the way. As Kimi Räikkönen's going to come through the final corner now. He is going to get slipstream and DRS on his teammate, but will it be enough to get the overtake done down in towards turn 1? The two Ferraris going wheel to wheel here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen on the right-hand side. He's got the job done on his teammate, but Sebastian Vettel holds it around the outside through turn 1. Inside line for turn 2, but can he get the job done around the outside turn 3? No, he cannot. And Kimi Räikkönen moves up into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix with only 3 laps to go. What a fantastic maneuver that is there from the Finnish driver, getting the better of his teammate and moving up into the lead of the race. Of course, Kimi Räikkönen had a fantastic season in Season 1, but just wasn't able to really fight for the title at the end of the day. Now watching this battle unfold between Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. My teammate at the moment is in the points in P10, but he would of course like to get more points for himself and also for the team, seeing as we are actually really doing a lot better job at the moment of the Force India and the Williams guys. Both us in the points. I don't believe there is a Force India or a Williams in the points at the moment. But Nico Hülkenberg up the inside of turn 1 there, around the outside turn 2, then inside turn 3. Very similar move to what's happened between Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel. But there we go. Nico Hülkenberg getting the job done and moving up into P9 for the Spanish Grand Prix. A great overtake there for my teammates, and that is going to be 2 points on board to his tally. But is there enough time to catch up to the Haas driver of Romain Grosjean or even Danny Kvyat? I don't think so, but we'll wait and see what Nico Hülkenberg can do as we come through the last couple of corners now to start our final lap here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Currently running in P6 at the moment. It's been a very, very quiet race for us here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Not really too much has gone on. Everything that sort of happened in the first couple of laps of today's race, getting past the Force Indias and the Williams drivers. But this man, Kimi Räikkönen, has been battling with his teammates all race on, and he's only just about a second ahead of Sebastian Vettel at the end of the day as they come through the final corner now. But Kimi Räikkönen, nevertheless, has one more corner left to go of the Spanish Grand Prix, and the Finnish driver is going to take victory at the Spanish Grand Prix here today. Fantastic result for the Ferrari man, and it's a 1-2 for Ferrari as well. Sebastian Vettel finishing in second. Valtteri Bottas finishes today's race in third place as well, and I think his teammate Lewis Hamilton is going to come across the line in P4, which he does. There we go, great job there from them, but unfortunately losing out to the Ferraris, who have had a fantastic season so far, and they are definitely leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment. But cutting back to our own race, still running in this fantastic P6 right now. Daniel Ricciardo comes across the line for P5. You can see Danny Kvyat in the background, but just not able to be close enough to challenge us. Nowhere near us at the end of the day. We've sort of been the best of the rest at the end of the day. A class of our own. We got the Force Indians. We got past them very early on in today's race. Of course, Felipe Massa having that DNF early on as well. What could have happened if he didn't have that DNF? Would we have been battling with him at the end of the day? But nevertheless, we're going to come through the final corner now, and it is a fantastic P6 at the Spanish Grand Prix. What a cracking result today at the Spanish Grand Prix. P6 on the circuit, and the best of the rest here today. Kimi Räikkönen, though, he is the race winner, making the two-stop strategy work just like his teammate did, but getting the job done very late on. Only 0.6 of a second separated the two Ferrari drivers at the end of the day. Sebastian Vettel finishes in second, with Valtteri Bottas in third, making it onto the podium, and then Lewis Hamilton finishing fourth here today. Daniel Ricciardo getting past me in the sort of mid-stage of the race, moves up into P5 with myself in sixth. Great result for myself here today of starting in P11, finishing exactly where we qualified. So that is a really, really decent result for myself. The sort of damage limitation after that grid pace penalty, who knows what could have happened if we didn't get that. Maybe it would have still been P6, but it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. Danny Kvyat finishes in P7 with Roman Grosjean in 8th. There's Nico Hülkenberg in 9th and Carlos Sainz in 10th. Max Verstappen, unfortunately, missing out on the points here today. And so did Sergio Perez in the Force India and also Kevin Magnussen in P13. And then further down the field, Lance Stroll in the other Williams finished down in P14 with Fernando Alonso 15th, Esteban Ocon in 16th, then there's Pascal Wehrlein 17th, Stoffel Van Dorn 18th, Mark Ericsson 19th, and then our only DNF for today's race, Felipe Massa, way down at the back of the field. Drivers' Championship then, after 5 rounds of Season 2, and Sebastian Vettel still leads the way at the moment, 27 points ahead of his closest rival, Lewis Hamilton, with Kimi Raikkonen closing on the gap. After a disastrous start to the season, a race win today is exactly what he needed. Daniel Ricciardo now 4th in the standings with Felipe Massa still ahead of me in P5, and Valtteri Bottas leaps ahead of me after that podium position. But we are on the same amount of points. Unfortunately, Valtteri Bottas just having the better results at the moment in this season. But it's very interesting to see whether we can actually get past Valtteri Bottas, which I don't think is going to happen, but maybe a couple of good races. We're heading to Monaco next, where of course we did actually win in Season 1. So another good race there could maybe put us ahead of Valtteri Bottas and also Felipe Massa, maybe even Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Raikkonen, who are only 7 points ahead of us in the standings. Only 7 points away from 3rd position in the standings. So a good result at Monaco could really put me in a seriously good position for the championship. Finally then, taking a look at the Constructors' standings, Renault at the moment are in that P4 position, which is exactly where we want to be, ahead of the Force Indias and ahead of the Williams, who both did not score any points here today. So there's a little bit of a gap to both of those drivers. Double points finished today for myself and Nico Hülkenberg. If we can get more of those across the rest of the season, then we can certainly maybe even push for P3 with those Red Bulls as well. But that's it for the Spanish Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for weekly Formula 1 content. And also don't forget to share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time for the Monaco Grand Prix, the jewel in the F1 calendar. And can we make it back-to-back wins at the Monaco Grand Prix? You're just going to have to wait and see till next time. But until then, it's goodbye from me.